45 to read you the books because, your parents weren't around to read you the books. Just like, never mind. Anyway,
Well, hey, at least they were books and not screens.
at least there were books and not
Yeah.
screens. But, you tomato, tomato. And welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Spoiler Room. Thank you for venturing down the stairs, pulling up a chair, and popping your favorite drink with us today. And yes, we have She's Thinking Out Loud month for December as we are slowly saying goodbye to our 2023 season. We hope you've enjoyed this season so far. And today is another film from 1977, but it's not a made-for-TV movie. But it feels like a made-for-TV movie.
I was going to say, are you sure?
As far as I'm aware, it's not. It's called Cathy's Curse from 1977 as well. And yes, She's Thinking Out Loud month is films where we're looking at, we have a female antagonist, protagonist, whatever you want to classify them as, who have telekinesis powers and some other powers as well along with that. And so today we are looking at this one from Canada, which is great because we've got the North and South represented here. So we've got two ladies in the South. Well, Ian's south of me, but in the actual South,
I'm not a lady, sir. Oh,
we have two ladies from the South, and we have two gentlemen of the North, all talking about a film from Canada. How about that for the internet? So yes, everyone. First off, she is back with us. It is none other than Miss Angelique Bone. Hello, Angelique. So glad to have you back in the spoiler room.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Very excited to talk about this interesting movie.
Hey.
And also with us, she is back with us as well from the horror retrospective. It is none other than Kara. Hello, Kara. How are you?
Hello, doing all right.
Fantastic, fantastic. And then there's the man who keeps coming back for more, though I think I'm starting to test his metal a bit. It is just a little bit. It is none other than those dulcet tones of Ian Simmons. Hello, sir.
hey. Yeah, I'm glad there's four of us talking about this movie tonight because I need a lot of help with Cathy's Curse.
So we will give it to Angelique tonight to give us the synopsis. Look at that look. I love that
You
look.
always do this to me. I love it.
You have a certain flair with your synopsis. So
I appreciate that.
you're welcome. And you're wearing a Blood Diner shirt, which is awesome.
I am.
That right there.
Yeah, it's got stuff on both sleeves.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
I get dirty looks when I wear it to Walmart because it's got boobs out on it,
You're doing it right.
You're doing it right.
Hey,
so
I gotta represent. But Cathy's Curse. A ghost with abandonment issues possesses her niece when her father and mother move into the home that the little girl lived in previously. That's big picture. Now the real story, the mother has had a nervous breakdown following either a miscarriage or stillbirth. It wasn't clear. A lot of this movie is not clear, folks.
No. Okay. Yeah, there's not holding your hand, and then there's throwing you off the deep end of the pool. And this film,
this movie just kicked you in and said, "Swim, kid." But the father is the brother of the ghost of the girl who died in a car accident when her really misogynistic father went to chase down the ghost mother after she took George, who is now grown up and is Cathy's father. And see, all of this is explained in 2-3 second title cards.
On the American version. Yeah. On the American version, it is.
Yeah, on there's the director's cut, which is 92 or 97 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the American version, which is 82 minutes. And so, like,
I watched the director's cut.
Yeah. So on the American version, like 15-20 minutes of plot, you get words, and then a small scene, and then words, and then the rest is gone. But really, folks, that's it. There's a doll, apparently, that's evil, and a picture with green glowing eyes that's evil. There's one of the best psychic mediums ever.
Yes.
There's the coolest babysitter ever, and a poor doggy
Yeah.
who was just trying to tell everybody something was going wrong.
He was trying to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Sneakers.
Huh?
R.I.P. Sneakers. The dog Sneakers.
There's Sneakers. Yeah, the dog Sneakers. Yeah. Love the name of the dog.
But yeah, this one, it's very hard to talk about the plot because like there are different names being thrown around and you're trying to figure out who's who. The only one you know for sure is Cathy because everybody's screaming at her for the whole movie.
The little girl Cathy
Yeah,
is
the little girl Cathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's really the best I can do with this one.
No, that's better than many probably.
I mean, I could have read the back of the Blu-ray, but
You have this on Blu-ray?
yeah, Severin did a release. It's got both the American and the director's cut. I watched them both today, and it's got a really disjointed audio commentary because even the dudes that are watching the movie are like, you know, we're trying to talk about this movie, but we don't know what's going on. So
that sums up. That should be the tagline of Cathy's Curse. We'd like to explain this movie, but we don't know what's going on.
That is the curse.
That is
the curse. Oh, you're
right.
so right.
You are so right, Kara. What is your initial feeling with Cathy's Curse, Kara? Whew, that's not good.
I want to understand it, and I want to say that I half do and I half don't, but I'm really not too sure what to think about the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, other than there's this ugly possessed doll that happens to be blind, but it gives people flashes of what's going on. We have a medium in there who really doesn't seem to serve a purpose. This whole, let me go, I won't tell anybody. And why'd you go to the house? And why do you keep letting yourself in uninvited? You don't even have a key.
It's Canada. No one locks their doors.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody's kind. They're just like, hey, here, have some maple syrup. No, anyway, no disrespect to our Canadian listeners out there. We love you. We love you all. I live in Wisconsin. We're the butt of every joke. So, okay. All right. We'll put it that way. At the butt of Illinois. And speaking of Illinois, yeah. what is your initial feeling with Cathy's Curse?
I don't know. It's probably because I had to watch this in like 3 separate chunks across a very long day, and I wasn't able to devote my full attention to it. So I feel like I got it maybe better than all of you did, but possibly because I had to not pay attention or understand it, which is the mark of any high quality movie. And my interpretation may be completely wrong. But yeah, it's a very strange film because the stuff that is cheesy, I think if this had been better directed and modernized, I guess, using some of the techniques that I think have been improved since the 70s or whenever the hell this came out, it could have been really good because I was kind of creeped out by some of this stuff. In other parts, I was just like giggling to myself while checking email. Yeah, it's a it's a strange one. I do say that I think the other component that helped me to get in on Cathy's Curse wavelength is, unlike Angelique, I did not have a fancy schmancy Blu-ray with audio commentary. I had Tubi. So every like 15 minutes, there'd be like the creepy music and a close-up of the portrait with the green glowing eyes. And it'd be like, and coming to the Hallmark Channel, it's the holiday festivities. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I don't need to stop at Sephora. I want to get back to the ghost story. Thank you very much.
But see, if it was today, the ghost would have shopped at Sephora. So there you go.
Sephora's Curse. There you go. That's the
Sephora's
modern
Curse.
retelling.
There
Yeah.
you go.
We can remake it. We can make it better.
We can
At least coherent, you know.
at least. Well, what doesn't help is they picked a similar looking girl for the young auntie.
Mhm.
So the film opens like mid drama. At least the version I watched, it mid drama. The dad drives home. He busts into the home. The little girl's there with her doll, and he's like, "Where's your mom and brother?" And she's like, "Mom left me here and took George." He's like, "That bitch! I'm gonna
Your
go get."
mother's a
I'm like,
Yeah.
in front of the little girl, he just calls the mom a bitch. I'm like, what are
I
we
think
watching here?
I think every character in this movie uses that word at least
They do.
once,
They
possibly
do.
5 times.
But I'm just like, what am I? And the thing is, though, it busted in the middle. I'm like, are we going to get like come back to this or something, or do like the movie's going to? No, we get this. We get the car accident. We get the little girl. We see her trying to wake her dad up as there's flames around the car, and then we go to a credit title screen. You're like, okay, and then we jump ahead. And we've got old people talking about, boy, it's great to have people back in this house again. And a little girl who looked very similar to the little girl, but the dad looks different and the mom looks different. And I'm like, where are we in the timeline? Because they don't establish any dialogue at all. Pretty much until you get to the medium, that this is they're all actually connected. that the little girl is actually the auntie, and maybe that's our cultural thing, because when we hear aunt, we think older instead of younger.
Yeah, I didn't I didn't think the girls looked that similar at all. I mean, the Cathy was very clearly a blonde, like almost like a white blonde girl. The other girl, whatever her name was, she
Darker
brown hair.
Yeah.
My confusion was the geography of this town, because in that opening scene, well, first of all, the dad busts in. He's rightfully concerned because it's like nighttime and this girl is all alone, and mom took Georgie, so she just packed up and took one of the kids, left the other one just sitting in the bedroom. Yeah. What's going on there? But as they drive away, it's very clearly like late fall, early winter, because all the trees are dead and the grass is brown and sometimes green. But when they're on the road driving, they're driving through snow. And when they careen off the road, they careen off a snowy road. But then when they crash, the establishing shot of the car, it's all just like dead green and brown grass. So I don't know what the hell's going on in the opening few minutes of this movie. That's my sticking point. It's all about the geography and the time.
Yeah, I had trouble getting the timeline and wrapping my head. Why do we care about these? How do these people we're watching connected to the people we watched die at the beginning? I mean, it was really tough to piece together that they had a connection. If for me, at least. Cara, what did you think? Did you think this throws a bit of confusion?
It didn't really explain it. They just pop in, but I think we could have done without the introduction and just gone straight into where the new family's moving in and them saying, "Oh, it's good to have people in the house," and then have the introduction of the ghost later. I think it would have flowed better.
Like Hellraiser.
Yeah, like Hellraiser. Or, I mean, because we get the medium scene later on, which kind of, if you wanted to show what happened, take the scene you had in the opening and move that as like a flashback to what the medium is seeing when she touches the picture, which would then kind of, it still wanted to take that angle, but it was very hard for me to get my head wrapped around exactly how everything was related and I was spending a good chunk of time, which meant that I didn't really care about what was going on screen, because I'm sitting here going, wait, is that then eventually I'm just like, oh, that's the brother. Okay, and he took his okay.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like all this confusion, you can leave the things intact as it is. All it takes is one title card coming out of the credits 30 years later.
Yeah.
Or however long has passed, and then you kind of get the idea.
Angelique, you mentioned there was a title card in the American version.
Yeah, so the American theatrical version, you don't see the father drive up to the house. There's a title card that says, on such and such day, 1975, Mrs. So-and-so took her son George, leaving her daughter, what's her name, alone in the house, and her father found her. And you've got like 3 seconds to read this.
Wow.
It's like information gone. And then all of a sudden there's the dad in the room saying, your mother's a bitch. That's just how the movie opens. That's the first line in the movie.
Wow.
And then they get in the car, and then the wreck happens, the fire happens. Then there's another card that comes up for 3 seconds. On such and such date, 1979, George moves back into his family home with his new family after losing their unborn child or whatever. And then again, you've got 3 seconds to read it. So it cuts out the housekeeper and the gardener.
Right.
Oh.
The dog didn't like that too much.
I got to watch the American version. That sounds awesome.
It's weird, cause and later on, when Cathy's looking around the house, that 5-minute scene where she opens every door, upstairs, it cuts that out, and she just opens the attic door.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
because that's when she finds the creepy ass doll.
Yeah, a decent cut, a cut that should have been made, but
that's actually a good cut. I like that better than them panning the run, padding the runtime with her opening every door. We get it,
Well, my first thought was, is it really snooping if it's your own house?
Right. I mean, she just moved there. I wasn't, I'm like, okay, you're orienting yourself. Here's all these doors. They all look the same. Which one's mine? Here it is. What is?
One's a gateway to hell. Who knows?
Just a small gateway.
Just a small gateway. Which her parents must not have used the attic, which was hilarious because you go up there and everything's in cobwebs and leftovers, and nothing new is up there whatsoever.
I mean, it would help a lot if George would have been like, oh, this is my sister whatever's portrait.
Yeah.
And then we would have been like, oh.
Well, yeah, I think he was the impression I got, half paying attention to the non-horror parts of this movie, was that he was really consumed with whatever was going on with his wife. And I think that's why it's kind of like with Halloween, the big sin of those characters is that they weren't paying attention. Not that they were having sex, just they were oblivious to what was going on. I think, yeah, because the dad kind of shows up at the end and he's all surprised and stuff. Like, wait a second, there's a killer doll and my daughter's face is all scarred and fucked up. And what's going on here? I'm just trying to have a Molson down the pub. But no.
Well, his construction project. Let's not forget his construction project.
Yeah, he was probably drinking on the job. I'll go there. Yeah.
Which is a callback. Maybe he was working on the same project that what's her name's dad was in The Spell. Maybe they were working together.
Oh,
because they were both working. He's an architect. Construction.
I think this poor guy, he just wanted to lead a normal life, and he has to deal with all these flaky women.
Yeah, these women, these unreliable women, always freaking out about something.
Well, that's what got me. I don't like the George character at all. I was so hoping he would die because,
he was very gaslighty.
Not only how he handled his wife, and I get that she's had, it's stressful handling the psychological, dealing with a loved one who has a psychological issue like that. I understand the stress of that. But he's like psychoanalyzing his daughter like the minute they get in the room. He's like explaining to his wife, who is still getting over her own nervous breakdown, going, I think Cathy's doing better now. Her responses are great, and she seems to be really warming up to the place. And I think she's really getting a handle. I'm like, dude, it's your daughter. This is not just. But the way he's talking to her is like he's, some wish therapist. So,
All right, great value, Freud.
yeah. Well, and then you wonder. He comes around the corner. I love that one shot. He's visiting his home. And he's like, oh, I wonder if it's still there. He suddenly gets really excited. He comes around the corner. The camera's showing this kind of dining room set and a statue and a door. And he's like, oh, it hasn't moved. And I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, I thought like your credenza? What?
It's like 20 seconds before they establish that he's like, oh, this statue. He's like, this is my first love. And I'm like, this is awkward.
Well, she's naked. It makes sense. Until he goes all boxing Helena and breaks her arm off.
Right? And he looks so confused. I'm like, you jerked on a delicate...
Let's just say it didn't used to be a white statue.
Oh.
And that's why it was next to his room.
Like you've mangled it with your paws here. Just set it down.
Yeah. Well,
that
it probably slips out of his hands.
What was that, Cara?
That wasn't a weekly polishing. That's not why the statue was so shiny.
Yeah. It had an extra coat of glaze. Anyway, but
the finish had been rubbed off the boobies.
That statue looked like it worked at a restaurant that served only gravy.
Hey, you leave Cracker Barrel alone.
Yeah.
But this one of the many. This script needed someone to look it over and go, we need a rewrite or three, because the whole thing with this statue, he's like, oh, this was a childhood whatever. Don't want to really dig too deep into that psychology. But then he breaks the arm. So then he fixes it later. And then when he's gone again, and Cathy's all up on her curse now and being possessed and such, she telekinesis it and basically shatters it into powder. And no one addresses it. Not the housekeeper. It never comes up by the father, who gets mad at the daughter for breaking the statue. It just happens and seems like people forget about it. And I'm like, you made it that it was this important for like 45 seconds to a minute to this guy. And now,
The film's gaslighting us now.
It is.
I mean, and the housekeeper wasn't that great either, because right after she mind explodes the statue, the housekeeper sits her down at the breakfast table, and Cathy just flings her cereal bowl against the wall and breaks it. The housekeeper says, oh, that must have been an accident. Goes over, picks the 2 pieces of the bowl and says, there, that's sorted out. Like, what? There's a bunch of broken glass right there.
Maybe it's like an Anthony situation from the Twilight Zone. They subconsciously don't want to get wished away into the cornfields, so they just kind of let a lot of weird stuff go related to the daughter. I don't know. But I was just thinking about that statue. Anyone else have a Goonies flashback? That's my mom's favorite piece. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that joke for 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Yeah.
But there's other element. Another prime example is when the medium shows up, which she is. This is an awesome medium. She literally picks up this picture and boom, she kicks into tape recorder mode of what had happened in the history. And you got people. I loved it. It's the one time where I connected with the characters, because I, like the characters, were confused as fuck of what she was talking about. Because nobody seemed to know as she picked the picture up and goes, Daddy, no, let me go. Everybody in the room was like, She,
She'll be fine. Just
she having a stroke or something?
She missed her morning brandy.
Yeah.
well, there was plenty in the house. They could have offered her one.
Plenty enough, which we learned later. Yeah. But while that scene's going on, there's this scene with the neighbor kids who have just showed up because apparently, again, they just in the house too. Nobody locks these doors ever. Anyway, these kids show up and they're hanging with Cathy. And suddenly, Cathy talks them into playing a game with this toy car, which is basically a reenactment of what happened to Auntie. And then she's got a wire of some sort. And then we cut away to the medium, and everybody's freaking out now from the medium. And then they finally deduced what was going on. And then we hear screaming, and all the parents go out to the kids. And we find she jabbed it, not in the full eye, but just below the eye of one of the neighboring kids she's trying to be friends with. Cathy did this. Now,
right, but you're jumping over the beautiful setup of this game because she says, "Let's play a game called Accident."
Yes.
And then when you cut back to them later, she's like directing the two kids in the car, and she says, "All women are bitches. Repeat."
Yeah, you gotta say all witches women are bitches.
Oh,
that's right. She got the kids to say that. Then she jabs the guy. And the reason I bring it up is normally, okay, yeah, you get it. The mom picks up the girl. It's like, oh, we're sorry. We have to go. Okay, this one kid. Now I'm a parent, and I got pissed at this. Right, I got pissed at this scene but the one mom just picks up her daughter who just got jabbed in the eye by this other kid with the wire. She doesn't get mad. She doesn't go off on the family. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. We'll go. It's okay. Whatever. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to see them again. 40 minutes later, the kids are playing again in the park where there's also some domes with the garden, and the kids are playing. This is later on after Cathy is starting to lose her connection with the doll. But I'm just like, wait. I looked at the kids going, wait, are they playing with Cat? I'm like, what the fuck?
It was part of the game to sew her eyes shut. So, it's part of the game.
But
yeah.
Canadians are also very forgiving.
Was blind.
Why what?
I never figured out why that doll was blind.
I don't know either.
They neglected to tell us what the deal is with the doll's eyes.
Yeah, or how exactly. And I don't need to know exactly how the spirit is connected to the doll. That's fine. It was the doll that the young girl who was the aunt loved. Okay, I get it. Spirit connected. That's fine. But yeah, that doll was beat the shit. That was. Everybody kept saying it was a rag, and you're like, you're right. That thing is not like sanitary.
I think the dad, as a child, masturbated that statue so much that the doll went blind. That's my theory. Yeah. We'll go with that.
You'll never have to see it again.
Something, yeah.
It's just
that would make better sense. It's like, let's cover your eyes. We don't want you thinking you're next.
Yeah. Wow. Whew, yeah. Exactly. But I'm sorry, folks, we're on the statue, but it was such like the way it was directed, edited, and everything. It made it like the statue was a serious point to the George character. It's like the only time we really get to see him, because every other time he's here and he's complaining about his wife who is suffering some major trauma. And let's just say he's not exactly the most sympathetic character.
No.
Car, what would you think of George's relationship with his wife?
I mean, he just kind of seemed, at least in my opinion, to ignore and brush her off quite a bit. I mean, even when the stereotypical love scene comes on and he's like, that's just the dog, ignore it. But other than that, the wife never really got so much attention in the entire movie.
Yeah, and there were literally wet wood has more spark than their love scene.
They were the Hellman's mayonnaise of making out. It was just
It was.
Whoa. I'm just gonna press my lips against your skin and not move, my darling. Does that get it going?
It's like
Hell
her.
yeah, it does.
Sounds like the lyrics to a really bad country song.
Yeah, it was. You. I never felt like George cared about anyone like at a deep caring level. It was like he was just a roommate almost in a lot of ways.
Well, I wonder if there's, I mean, because his mom
Yeah.
took him away from the dad and whatever the little girl was at the beginning of the movie. So maybe there's supposed to be some connective tissue of his being a removed kind of absentee, emotionally absent dad and husband because of what his mom did when they were a child. At least a good movie would try and make that connection. I think this is all just like armchair psychology on my part, because the movie doesn't really establish its character very well or talk about the relationship. They just are awful to each other. We don't exactly know why.
And you would have thought the mom would have mentioned to someone how Cathy teleported
Oh, yeah.
all over the fucking room.
Well, the mom is so far gone, she doesn't notice. She's still caught up on scolding her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. She
But really
was.
minor stuff.
Yeah, she really gets on Cathy's case for some minor things.
I mean, yeah, you're being annoying. You're saying Jack and Jill over and over again at the whatever meal this is, because this movie has no time nor place. It's just you're screaming at your kid there. Okay, I get it, Mom. You're having some issues. You're taking their stuff out on your daughter. That kind of needs to stop. But then
Yeah.
it's a cycle. She acts out. She gets screamed at. Evil doll comes into play. Mm.
Well,
I mean,
even
she kills
before
she
that.
kills the housekeeper for giving her a kiss on the cheek.
Oh,
Yeah, let's talk about the not Omen scene in
So there's a little caption. This is not the Omen, please.
Sorry, just I was having flashback. I'm like, so she's holding the doll out. Yeah, Mama says that. Which again, there was no establishment or anything of what Cathy has going on. So the housekeeper kissing her being a trigger for the ghost. You're just like, okay. There's many other reasons they could have established why, what the housekeeper would do to trigger the little girl, make her go to bed, make her, clean her room or something. But no, kiss on a cheek, suddenly Auntie, who was a little girl spirit, basically, I think she calls her a bitch at one point too or whatnot. And then
All women are.
bitches.
repeat.
Yeah. And then she gets her to jump out the window and die, just as the mom is there. I do feel sorry for the mom. As the mom, on one hand, was a bit annoying. On the other hand, she witnesses all the shit, and she's already fragile to begin with. So it's just like I really felt sorry for her character, quite a bit. Though again, at times I found her just a bit annoying, but I think it was just the actress, the way her voice and the way it was directed. I don't know. Angelique, what'd you think of the mom in this?
I really felt terrible for her. I mean, she's gone through this whole family has experienced a loss, and of course she's had a nervous breakdown. She's very fragile. She's obviously not under a consistent doctor's care. Her husband's taken her to a new house. Moving is one of the most stressful things you can do in your whole life. So just adding that extra pressure. Then you got your kid acting weird. Nobody believes you. So that's just going to make you just snowball into complete psychosis.
And then they do what all 70s folks do: put her in the nut house.
Hey,
Yeah.
she's where she belongs.
Now, I will say Randy Allen, the actress who played the little girl, was fantastic in this. She was scary as hell throughout the whole thing. She reminded me of Bad Seed. She
Mhm.
really did.
Yeah.
The way she plays this character, she is how you want it to be. She got the scary on, and that's what I did like about the Cathy character. I may not have liked exactly how they wrote everything, but as far as her performance goes as Cathy, I dug it.
Yeah, I think she did very well. I think what was so disturbing about it's a very disturbing movie on a number of
Yeah.
levels, not just for narrative inconsistency or incoherence, I should say. But when I'm seeing her do not so much the demon possession scenes, because that's kind of creepy in its own right, but when she's using this foul language against the adults, like it's clearly not a voiceover where you cut to like her from behind and it's like an older actress like VOing these. No, you see her straight on saying things like calling someone a fat dried up old whore and a bitch repeatedly. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that
And
scene where
she
she's
knows what that means. You can tell
Yeah.
she knows what that means while she's
right,
saying.
she's saying with that full on relish, and it's like when she and that old man are ganging up to taunt the medium or the housekeeper as
Yeah,
someone.
medium. Yeah.
Okay, they're like it's creepy, and I just thought about like the making of this movie, like how good were that actress's parents to explain yes, this is all make believe, because I was feeling traumatized just watching that scene. Ugh.
Yeah, my favorite parts for her was when she would get her evil look on. She
Mhm.
had that down. I was like, there's that one scene where she's got the doll and it's near the end and she's in the chair
A
and
chair, yes.
she spins around in the chair with the doll sitting and she's sitting crisscross applesauce and she
Good
stares
evening,
right at
Mr.
the
Bond.
it is the Mr. Bond. But I got a bit of a chill the look she gave when she came around. I'm like, she is selling it. She is really selling it in this. Cara, how about you with Cathy? Did you like her performance?
I liked it better than the woman playing the mom. I think she
Yeah.
wasn't that great of an actor, but the little girl was a lot more convincing, and like you mentioned, the facial expressions are really what makes it so convincing, especially when she is saying some of those ugly things.
Yeah, because she's saying it with meaning. It's not just kid walking through the lines or saying it uncomfortably. She's saying it like she knows exactly how this is striking the person she is saying it to.
Maybe she didn't get along with the actress who played the medium.
That could be.
The director's like, wait, what are these lines you're saying? You're supposed to just call her mean or something. Where did dried up old whore come from?
No, she
Right.
also calls her a female cow or something like that
Yeah.
also.
That was a motif. Yeah, we got a few
Yeah.
female cows in there. Like,
This is
wow.
a real woman hating movie here.
It is a woman hate because you get the dad who was a misogynist, the old uncle or the old grandfather, whatever, and then you've got her who she hates all women, just about.
Right. So it's equal opportunity.
Yeah,
Men hate
that's
women,
true.
women hate women. It's isn't that the lesson of the Barbie movie? I don't know. I forgot.
Wow.
That's literally part of America Ferrera's speech at the end.
Yes, we know your feelings on that movie, Mr. Simmons.
Yes. Yes. That showed up on a year-end ballot I got to vote for, and I abstained.
No. I would say I would be surprised, but that would be a lie. But yeah, I think Cathy is and you want her to be the strongest character, and probably this kid puts in the best performance out of even out of any of the adults or anything, which is interesting because there was an interview with Randy Allen, the young woman who played Cathy. This is her only role.
Hmm.
She took this role apparently. Her and her brother, I guess, played one of the brothers, I think, in of the friends. I'm not sure, but I think they took the job to help support their single mom who was having some medical issues. And the only reason they took the acting was so that they could get paid and help their single mom out financially. And after they got paid and got her to help, she retired from acting. She didn't, which is sad because, again, Randy Allen is the best actress in this entire film.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there were chops there because people asked her, because a lot of people like her performance apparently, and she said, "Yeah, no, that was her. That's the only reason she took the job at all, was because." She stated that her and her brother, who also appeared in the film, only worked as child actors to financially support their single mom. Allen said she had no desire to continue acting and just did this one film role, and that was that.
Well, maybe it's because she watched the movie after it came out. It's like, no, I'm good.
If the director's gonna do this to my work, screw that. Yeah. Yeah, and then we got the housekeeper guy who takes over duties when the housekeeper got basically verbally abused out the window. And this guy Cathy gets him drunk.
Yes.
It's just
And
so
she had a very
weird.
practiced hand pouring those drinks.
Which, again, I'm like, and that's what had me the biggest confused was, is the spirit possessing Cathy supposed to be the young girl spirit, or do spirits age, over time, and they grow up as adult spirits? And because the behavior of the spirit that was possessing her was far more but adult than the young girls,
Well,
Well, I mean, that's what's confusing is I'm not sure if the ghost is actually really connected to that girl we saw in the beginning of the film, or if it's just a demon kind of taking on that persona and inhabiting that picture and all this other stuff. Because yeah, it doesn't make sense that an 8 or a 12-year-old girl, or whatever, would know all this or know how to do all this stuff. Unless they're just hanging out in the afterlife observing, what else they have to do besides, I guess, burn, but and watch people, do stuff. So maybe she was studying liquor and other kinds of spirits during that
well,
10 or 15 years.
that kind of makes sense. A spirit handling spirits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. The spirits. There you go.
Well,
There's
I
a
was
new-
disappointed because there wasn't a bottle of J&B Scotch. I forgot this is not a giallo film; it's a Canadian horror film. But mostly when I'm watching an old movie, I see they've got the classic round table with all the liquor bottles piled up. There's
Yeah.
usually a J&B in there, but there wasn't this time.
No J&B.
No, J&B.
No. And then it's funny on how everybody, though, wanted to get rid of the doll, but nothing was ever established that they knew there was something wrong connecting the doll to her. They just all wanted to get rid of it because they didn't like it. I mean, unless I missed something. I'm like,
It just appeared out of nowhere. Like,
and everybody's like, "Oh, we got to get rid of that doll. That thing should be burned." And we're like, "Okay, why do you think it should be burned besides it looking creepy and old?" I mean, kids attach themselves to freaking weird shit all the time. Dirty fucking dogs you can't pull away. The stuffed dog or stuffed animal that has no fur left on it. But by God, don't you hide it from them, because they're gonna. Okay, maybe that was just me. It was Soft Dog. I miss Soft Dog. He was so cool. Anyway, what? It was a stuffed dog I had when I was a kid. He would call them stuff.
I had BB.
He had
She
BB.
was just a little doll, and I would fall asleep rubbing her nose because it was a button covered with fabric, and I would just go to sleep, and I would do that, and eventually I just rubbed all the fabric off of her nose. But no, you couldn't fix her. No.
Yeah.
No.
I also had Panda Bear. You could tell as a kid, I do a lot of name makeups and such. And as a kid, I didn't really think of a lot of creative names for my animals. There was Panda Bear, which, guess what, was a panda bear. and Soft Dog, which was a dog that was soft. So I don't know. Anyway,
I had Gabrielle, who was a white statue that I adored, but probably a little too much. That's why I understand this movie, I think, better than most.
Did your kid destroy it with its mind?
Not with its mind exactly, but sorry.
They did destroy it. Yeah. What about you, Cara? Since we're sharing, did you have a stuffed animal or some other animal that you were attached to when you were young?
Not that bad. I mean, I had kind of like a little tiger doll that I would sleep with, and I had tied a little lace ribbon around its neck to make it look nicer, but it was just more of a sleeping thing.
Yeah. Well, that was what mine. I mean, when I was a kid, I had. Welcome to therapy session 101, everyone. When I was a kid, when I went to sleep, I used to have a nest of stuffed animals around, because being the 80s kid, I watched horror movies, bringing it back around, far too young, and I was afraid of sliding between the wall and the bed at night because I moved around. So I got a lot of stuffed animals, and they were all lined along the wall to help keep me from rolling off the other bed and in between the wall and the bed.
My youngest does that to this day. Yeah. It's not necessarily horror movies. It's more of just a general security thing. But yeah, if you get in bed to read stories, you better know where each one of those damn things is, because it's like, where's Binky Puppy? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he's on the floor. We gotta find him. 5 minutes later, we're finally reading the damn book.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was just like the the girl in here. She freaked out not having her doll. Cathy freaked out. Where's my doll? My doll. It was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, okay. She just someone
You mean that old Goodwill looking thing?
Here, have the statue instead. No, anyway.
Hey, Mark, how you said this was not a made-for-TV movie? Did it come out in theaters, or like what was the story of it? Because I'd never heard of this before.
I'm not sure. I just know. I mean, it wasn't deemed as a made-for-TV movie. I think it got a limited release. Let me see if Ibidibidum has any info outside of that. It might or might not. It all depends.
Because I swear there was at least one moment that I was like, "Oh, this is a fade to black commercial moment."
No, it was released in theaters. It was released in theaters in the United States, July of 1980. It got released.
July.
3 years after it was released in Canada and France and Mexico, it got released in Portugal, and then it got released in the United States.
Wow.
The first time I saw it was I got one of those 15 horror movie packs, and it was in there, and it was the print's so bad it's like neon green, like for most of the movie.
I probably have it on one of those many. I have so many of those compilation CDs that I just have never cataloged how many, because they all have such repeats. Like all of them have the Bat, and then there's the Terror, and then a lot of them have Little Shop of Horrors, the original.
This one's got like House by the Cemetery in it and a couple of other things.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So yeah, it's another attempt, because you had Carrie a year before. Kid going on rampage, having telekinesis, scary powers. Hey, let's get on this trend, because that's what filmmakers still do even today. Oh, hey, they're making this type of film. We can do this too. That was popular. Yeah. But just coming up short. And maybe it was rushed. There's very little info on this. I don't know if you got any in the commentary, Angelique, but there's very little info online or anywhere that I looked about this movie, outside of the girl, Cathy, the actress, not acting all but one film.
I think, if I remember correctly, I'm going to go back and check and see in the book House of Psychotic Women by Kier LaJeunesse. I think there's a little bit about it that goes into a little bit more detail about the production aspect.
There's a book called... Really?
Yes, it's amazing.
It sounds amazing.
Amazing book. I mean, it's part autobiography and part an examination of uh, women having psychoses and being told they're crazy and stuff like that. It's got big pieces about Let's Scare Jessica to Death, about what's it? Dang it! One of my favorites, Messiah of Evil. It's really, really good. It's very comprehensive.
Wow, that
Yeah.
does sound interesting. It would require me to read, but
It's also
that's
on
okay.
Audible.
Oh, well, now we're talking.
I have it on every format you can get.
That's awesome. And yeah, while you were saying that, Angelique, I just happened to look up the box office. It did premiere in Montreal July 29th, 1977, and it was later given regional releases in Canada, opening in Vancouver on November 11th, 77, and in Ottawa, Ontario, November 18th, 1977. 20th First Century Film Corporation acquired and distributed the film in the U.S. in 1980. Prepare yourself. Here's what it grossed at the box office. The film grossed a total of $1,261,000.
Which is like $80 million in 1980 cash, right?
True.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's exactly how it worked. There's some critics, if you'll bear with me, there are some critics that agree with what we've said tonight. Apparently, Barry Westgate of Edmonton Journal said it doesn't have to make that much sense, done slickly, but Cathy's Curse squanders the license and its possibilities with such insultingly careless abandon. Someone else called it a ho-hum shocker and compared it negatively to The Omen and The Exorcist. I swear, I made that cut before I read this. And then someone said it took 3 writers to come up with a screenplay in which the awfulness of the dialogue is only matched by the ineptness of the plot.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Louis B. Hobson of Calgary, Alberton, said there were notable elements of The Bad Seed and concluded all this plagiarism might be forgivable if the acting were even remotely bearable. Ew. Shit, it even got shit from TV Guide. You know what type of movie you've made when you even have the TV Guide writer saying dull Canadian exorcist-inspired horror film full of bloody mutilations, cheesy makeup, and inept special effects.
You know,
Wow.
it occurs to me the better version of this movie is actually the pilot for that Friday the 13th, the series TV show from the late 80s.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
With the pilot episode was actually called The Curse, and it was a young Sarah Polly. And she had a haunted doll. And yeah, she went around and like got revenge on people. That was a good version of this movie. I don't know if maybe the people who made that were like, we're making this Cursed Antiques movie. We're gonna have a haunted doll. Oh, let's one up that piece of crap Cathy's Curse movie. This is my chance.
I mean, it tries. It just, you could see it, and apparently this is the director's first English language film. He was a French director. This is his first North American film, so maybe that could be a little forgivable. But even me, who is usually considered soft on films, I had a hard time getting into this movie. I only liked the Cathy character. I didn't really care what else was going on. I liked her character. I wish that character was in a better film than what she got, because the people around her, the way they were written and everything, it feels like it's so piecemealed together, like it was like some brainstorming idea that that's what they used as the script, that by the end of it, you don't really care. And even the ending is anticlimactic in many ways because of how it ends. I'm like, wait, what?
So we just opened the doll's eyes? Is that
Yeah.
is that it?
Yeah, because Cathy was having, she had like the melty burn face.
Yeah, she
and the
had
mom
melty
starts
burn face.
ripping open the eyes of the doll, and Cathy's like screaming, but then because I expected like her eyes to be plucked out or something like that,
Right.
like a voodoo doll.
Mhm.
But then she's just okay, and then we cut to, I mean, that last image of the doll on the floor with like the bloodied eyes, that was cool. And I was wondering if if there's enough of a cult status around this movie that you could go to a horror convention and see someone make like the Cathy's Curse doll, because that'd be kind of fun to have. It's something coming out of this movie anyway.
That would be, but yeah, the ending, it gets all weird with her face getting all burned. The mentor gets all freaky. The aunt shows up in adult form, kind of. It is so, the ending is just like, wow, they couldn't even figure out how to end this properly. It's just, we'll put on some prosthetics on the girl, make it look scary, and then yeah, the rip out the doll eyes, which how the mom figured that would do it. I would have figured she would have just taken the doll and smashed the whole thing, not just like, rip it. I'm like, shit, that's what I would have done. I would have taken the thing.
Yeah, fireplace,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, fireplace, exactly. But
Chucky.
yeah, then it ends and everything's hunky dory, and you're just like, we're gonna just ignore the fact of everything that this kid's done. I know they were
What happened?
possessed.
What?
Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily want anything bad to happen to the kid, but at the same time, it's just like you're not just gonna gloss over the fact of all this crap happening.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of what they did the entire movie, right? So it's just,
Yeah.
it's just par for the course.
That's true. That's true. Cara, what's your final thought with Cathy's Curse? Would you still recommend it to someone, or is this one that they could probably like just skip?
I'd say skip it and watch something else, even if you're into the whole, 70s Carrie knockoff kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just go ahead and give this one a pass. I think The Spell was a better story, even though it was a lot slower than this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's a good comparison. Absolutely. Angelique, what about you? Your final thought with this?
It's just one of those, like, if you're having a party, just have it on in the background. You don't want to have somebody sit down to watch this, or they may not be your friend anymore.
And Ian, how about you, sir?
I can't recommend it. I mean, if you're gonna watch it the way I watched it, then maybe like just have it on. You can be doing other things while it's going on. You're not gonna miss much. Apparently, you're really not gonna miss much because you guys watched it with your full attention. Still don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think if you're gonna like explore as we've discussed Carrie knockoffs, it certainly qualifies. But as far as like, oh yeah, you should watch this movie on its own merits with no other context, hell no.
And unfortunately, I do have to agree. I mean, maybe if you like seeing a strong, creepy kid performance, you might want to watch it, but you don't, have to give it your full attention, unfortunately, because it appears the writers didn't give it their full attention when they put it together, because it is choppy. There's potential here for a really good movie. There really is. There's a lot of very interesting elements I should say really good, but at least a memorable creepy film to be memorable for things other than the really bad storytelling that we end up getting with it.
Well, Mark, I think something you said earlier when you're talking about the real life story of the young actress and her brother making this movie to help out their mom. I want to see that movie. It could even be a horror movie or just a drama about like kids trying to make a horror movie to support their family. I think that's really kind of touching. You could go the touching dramatic route with it, or you could find out, they start making this horror movie and they get wrapped up in some real life supernatural stuff. But that, just as an idea, the real life story is better than this contrived trash.
It is indeed. It is indeed. So there you have it, folks. Cathy's Curse. I mean, if I would say you had to choose between the two, you could watch The Spell.
Or just fling yourself out of the window.
Just fling yourself out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or watch any other number of haunted dolls.
Yeah. Yeah, or any other haunted doll. Of the pantheon of haunted doll horror films, this one.
I would say maybe not really a haunted doll, but Chucky would be a better watch than this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, any of them actually, even the later sequels, which I didn't really quite care for the last one, but yeah. So there you have it, folks. Thank you for listening and watching. Thank you all. We appreciate every single one of you for helping us slowly but surely grow in our listener base over this past year. They did the whole Spotify wrap, and we did have some growth. Actually, a lot of people. Yeah, I'm not going to rap. I'll spare you. Our top episode this past year was the Dogville episode. Actually, that's the one that's been most popular so far. So I found that interesting. But we gained some subscribers from other countries. Welcome, thank you, Canada. I do love you. I made that joke earlier. I apologize. Really, it was all in fun. And I've got very interesting things planned for next year. So hopefully you stay tuned. But before you stay tuned to our stuff, make sure you check out our wonderful panels stuff. This is where I give them their license to shill. So, Cara, go ahead, license to shill. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm still on break, but there's tons of stuff to watch over on the channel. Same as my handle name. My YouTube is @horror_retrospective. There are tons of horror film reviews, obscure stuff, old films that people forgot about, direct-to-video films that people shouldn't even watch. And I usually do a weekly film discussion on Saturdays where we look at newer films and share our thoughts.
Awesome stuff. And Angelique?
Gearing up for some stuff for the coming year. You can find me on monstersmedicine.magic.com sporadically. But for now, I'm just on Facebook. I'm here on Astro Radio Z. Yeah, it's
Awesome. Yeah, which I do have our episode. I got to edit it yet. It will hit before the end of the year. So I just on that very special movie, and I'm already lined up. Derek had asked if we wanted to, we could do it as semi-regular type of thing. So we'll have to see what happens there. And Ian, how about you, sir?
Well, I'm Ian Simmons. I run Kicking the Seat, which you can find at kickseat.com, as well as here on YouTube. Do reviews and roundtables and all that stuff. It's been kind of a weird few weeks because I've been playing Mr. Mom with a house full of very sick people, and also starting a new day job and all this great stuff. So yeah, very far behind, but gradually starting to catch up as the year comes to a close. I'm also here on Monday nights talking about wonderful cinematic gems like Cathy's Curse.
Hey, at least you can say that these are films that you not normally would pick for yourself. So, I at least am getting you out of the box, even if it's
I'm just
stepping on
wondering.
dog.
I'm just wondering when our friendship started to go off, Mark, because
We're closing the year out with a Friday the 13th film, so come on,
Yes.
they can't, so there is that. Hopefully I'll bring you back, brother. I'll bring you back.
Well, yeah, but I have to wade through the muck that is the Carrie remake. Spoiler alert for next week. My goodness.
That's not really a
I
spoiler.
wish I could join y'all. That's going to be a fun conversation. But I'm going to be seeing Die Hard in the movie theater.
Oh, nice. Ian's like, can you take me with you? Look at him. Look at that eyes. He's like, take me with you. I don't
Get
want to.
Savannah. I need a +1.
No, I literally froze up because I couldn't figure out if you were saying I'm going to see Die Hard in a movie theater, or if it was like that Hollywood pitch where it's like Die Hard in a movie theater.
Nice. So yes, folks, there you have it. At specialmarkproductions.com, if you're at all interested in stuff that we've got, I've got a couple of interviews that I recently dropped. I recorded 7 reviews. 5 of those are on the YouTube channel. 2 of them were exclusive for our Patreon, which we do have, which check it out. We got I realized I got over 1,000 posts on my Patreon over the last few years that I've been doing it. So and thank you for our patrons for your support, and thank you for listening and tuning in. And yeah, next week is the Carrie remake. And then we're going to close it out with Friday the 13th, Part 7, New Blood. And then we kick off a new year, which is going to be rated PC for Pre-Code, where we're going to be looking each month at a Pre-Code film. And then we'll have a theme around that month, if I can come up with one, around that film. So we'll see what happens. I've been doing this for 3 years, blame Ian. And for the theme months, and it's been kind of fun putting them together. So enough of us talking. I hope you all safe out there. And until next time, we'll just say good night, everyone.
Good
night. Sorry, I was trying to do my
Oh my
Cathy
God,
voice.
the voice. We forgot to mention the little girl's voice at the
You
end.
saw me.
You will die, bitch.